It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back inside the lab. That is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, your source for fantasy hockey news and degenerate gambling breakdowns, which is today's episode jam-packed full of big-time bets, fantasy news out of the Edmonton Oilers camp that might mean big-time implications for your team. And we're handing out mid-season awards because that's what we do, baby. Let's get this money. Thank you for joining us.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, Wednesday edition. Happy Hump Day. We're almost there, everybody, and hopefully today's episode makes today go by just a little bit faster and bringing a little bit of fantasy hockey fire to your ear holes or your eye holes. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Today's episode, Steele, as always, jam-packed full of all the fantasy news that you need out of the NHL. We're going to talk about Evander Kane. Looks like he's going to be back a lot earlier than expected. This is huge for not only the Edmonton Oilers, but for fantasy GMs that I'm sure have Evander Kane stashed on the IR. I know there's a lot of guys out there who have been waiting for him to return. We're going to talk about that impact off the jump of the show. We got big-time bets coming up. I love my picks tonight. I don't say that very often, but I'm feeling a big night on tap. And we're handing out mid-season awards. We got a Hart, Vezina, Norris, and Calder to give away for the half-season award mark, Steele. I'm excited for your list, as always. But yeah, man, I'm hyped for today's episode. Let's talk about Evander Kane. What are you hearing out of the Edmonton Oilers? You brought this to my attention early on today. You've been up early doing research. What are you hearing, and what do you think is going on with this situation?
Yeah, it looks like he's ahead of schedule right now. Obviously, a terrible incident back in early November with that wrist laceration against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But he's ahead of schedule right now. Originally, he was supposed to be back around the NHL All-Star break, which is February 4th, if I'm correct there. But it looks like he's 2 weeks ahead of schedule. It looks like his first game could be on January 19th against the Tampa Bay Lightning again, the game where he got injured, or the next game, January 21st against the Vancouver Canucks. So definitely great news for the Edmonton Oilers and fantasy general managers out there who own Evander Kane and are really hoping to get him back into the lineup and help them win matchups every single week. But it's great news. It's great news for Evander Kane that he's getting back and healthy. It's great news for the Oilers because we know they've been struggling a little bit, a tough spot against the LA Kings the other night. So it's great news for everybody right now that Evander Kane's going to be back a lot sooner than expected.
Yeah, and even though it might only be 2-3 weeks ahead, maybe a month ahead of what doctors and the team training staff expected, this kind of injury, it's really hard to peg what that timetable is for a return. So yes, they may have had that pegged as a good kind of number. It could have been a lot longer. This is a situation that kept him off the ice and kept him off of on-ice training for a long time, and that means it takes a longer period to get back on the ice. So it's good for a bunch of reasons, but the biggest takeaway here for me is this adds a whole other wrinkle into the Edmonton Oilers offensive attack. This team is offense first, maybe play a little defense third, and think about it fourth. It's not even second on the priority list in Edmonton right now. They're leaving Stuart Skinner out to dry. You know how much I love that take. But it really does add another offensive wrinkle. Look, Clem Costin, no offense. Ryan McLeod, no offense. Some of these other wingers that have had to fill in for Evander Kane, him back in the lineup gives this team two dangerous lines with Zach Hyman in the mix as well. If Evander Kane is able to come back and be effective, look, you mentioned he's been out since November 8th. He had 5 goals and 8 assists over 13 games for the Oilers to start the year. This guy has proven that he's still an elite NHLer, especially when he's in the mix with the talent that he has in the Edmonton Oilers front top 6. This is going to be huge for this team's success, and they're going to start scoring a lot more goals with Evander Kane back in the mix. That's a fact. Keep your eye out for him if you have him on your IR. It's going to pay off real soon. Now, speaking of paying off, Steele, I got a Calder to give out. We're going to start there. We're going to get to the Norris, the Vezina, the Hart. half-season awards, yeah, they might be okay, guys. This doesn't have a lot to do with fantasy. Yes, it does, and it makes a lot of implications for the players around the players that we're mentioning. Sure, you're not going to be able to go out and add these guys on the waiver wire, but maybe you consider taking a shot on them via a trade because that's just how good they are. Steele, hit me with your Calder candidate.
Well, it comes down to two guys for me. It's Matty Beniers and Logan Thompson. Those are the two guys in the race right now. I did have Pyotr Kochetkov in there. Obviously been struggling a little bit recently and hasn't played enough games Logan Thompson. But for me, as of right now, the clear-cut person is Matty Beniers. He's doing everything for the Seattle Kraken. 32 points in 39 games, a +10. He only has one penalty the entire season right now, 2 penalty minutes this season. He's great on the power play. He's currently on a 4-game point streak where he has 4 goals and 7 points. So he's firing on all cylinders on the top line for the Kraken. And to be more specific, look at where the Kraken were last year in the standings. Bottom of the Pacific Division.
Great point.
Didn't really do much. Now he's in the lineup. And the Kraken are sitting comfortably third in the Pacific with, 4 points back of the Kings with 5 games in hand on them. They're 6 points back of Vegas with 3 games in hand on Vegas. They are very confident right now. They're comfortable where they are, and they've got the games in hand. And a lot of their success goes out to Matty Beniers and what he's been able to do on the top line.
I think this might be the only award where you and I agree wholeheartedly on. It's Matty Beniers' trophy. It's going to be his at the end of the season as well. Look, this kid has already proven that he is a point per game or better player in the NHL. There was a lot of people who pegged him to win the Calder this year. It's his trophy right now, in my opinion, as well. And I'll say this about Logan Thompson, 18, 10, and 1, and a .914 save percentage, 2.66 goals against, and he had 20 games of NHL experience coming into this NHL season. Hats off to him. He's right there in the mix. Maybe he goes on a special kind of heater in the second half, but I actually would say the rest of this division might catch up to the Vegas Golden Knights a little bit. Also, Logan Thompson, it's not his fault. He plays behind a very good team with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So a little bit of those numbers have to be propped up by the solid play of that blue line. I know that's not his fault, but when I'm looking at what you just said, what Beniers is doing for the overall success of this team, Steele, hats off to this special player who's going to be an all-star in this league for many, many years to come. Before we get to the rest of the awards, before we get to big-time bets, what do you mean? I got more awards. Let's get to them right now, Steele. I don't know what I'm saying. Hit me with your Norris candidate because this is where I think we start to go a little bit different on opinions.
Yeah, I did expect us to be to have a little bit of different opinions and answers and for who should deserve this award right now. I know there's Cale Makar. I know there's Roman Josi. Obviously, Josh Morrissey and Rasmus Dahlin have been excellent this season for the Winnipeg Jets and Buffalo Sabres. I know they've been great, but you know exactly where I'm going with this. It's Erik Karlsson. We're looking at vintage Erik Karlsson, prime Ottawa Senator player, 65. He has been excellent for the San Jose Sharks. And I know that they're not going to be in the playoffs. I know they're at the bottom of the league, but he has been absolutely fantastic, upwards of 50 points already. He has a 1.32 points per game on the season, leads all defensemen. He's a +400 right now to win the Norris. I think that's excellent odds. The third favorite to win the Norris this year. I think I might sprinkle a 20 or a 25 on this because of how great the odds are, and I do believe that he's going to win it. Look, I understand that Cale Makar and the young guys are great. Adam Fox even are great defensemen and great hockey players. But there's just no way that Erik Karlsson loses the Norris if he continues to put on this pace. Also, one thing that really surprises me before I hand it off to you, he's only a -4 on the season. We're talking about one of the worst defensive teams in the league right now, and he's only a -4. To me, that's pretty incredible.
It is incredible. And look, I can't even disagree with a single thing you're saying other than if he continues like this, he wins it for sure because that's how good, in my opinion, Rasmus Dahlin has been. Rasmus Dahlin is my pick right now. And actually, what you're saying about the odds, for sure, sprinkle a little 20 on Erik Karlsson. That's definitely worth it. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. And let me just hit you with my take on this way, and let me know what you think about it honestly. You just mentioned how important Matty Beniers has been for turning things around for the Seattle Kraken. Look at where they were last year and look at where they are this year. if you take a look at the goaltending combination in Buffalo and you look at Rasmus Dahlin's plus-minus numbers, they blow that -4 thing with Erik Karlsson right out of the water. This guy is +16, and now laying the body, he's got 44 points. He's got 46 penalty minutes. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up, Steele, when I looked it over this, because I knew you were going to go with Erik Karlsson plays more power play time and has 14 power play points. I know Dahlin is benefiting from the B season of Tage Thompson. I might be on this at the top of the list. Stay tuned for my Hart pick. Rasmus Dahlin has 22 power play points this season. I think right now, if I were to pick two, Dahlin and Karlsson are my two favorites. But what I've seen from Dahlin this year, laying the body, quarterbacking that power play, if he continues to have the season he's having, he is the best defenseman in the NHL right now, in my opinion, and that includes doing it all.
I don't know if he's the best defenseman, though. I know, he's a young talent right now, but we're talking about Erik Karlsson, who's 32 years old, who has gone through terrible injuries throughout his career.
True.
So the fact that he's now playing this great, he's playing over 25 minutes a game on average, and he's put up 54 points in 41 games. Look, I agree with you. Rasmus Dahlin is a special talent, but as of right now, he is not the best defenseman in the league.
54 points is not meaning anything about playing defense is what I'm trying to get. Laying the body, getting in there, chipping in with penalty minutes as well. That's what a real defenseman does, and Dahlin's proving it. Let's see what happens second half. This sounds like a side bet in the making. Where you want to go place those bets is with our friends at betonline.net. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis this season and every single season. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to the bowl season that has just ended to the NBA hardcourt. They have you covered at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, just like you love this one, you can find even more of them over at BetOnline as well. They always have you covered with the fastest and easiest bits of betting info and analysis. Head to the website today, like Steele and I do every single night for our NHL lines, for the NHL boards, or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts.
This is Dane Lewis from the Locked On Stars podcast, here to let you know the following message brought to you by Discover. Did you know that you could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection, the latest innovation from Discover? Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data, and they'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app and see terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on all podcast platforms, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. You don't want to miss out. Hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love and all the support. Been getting a ton of comments on our YouTube channel, DMs on our Twitter as well. So really do appreciate all the connections that we're making with our listeners out there. Flip, two more categories or two more awards to talk about. We've got the Hart Trophy. We also have the Vezina Trophy. Which one do you want to start with right now?
Let's start with the Vezina, if you don't mind. And I would like to hear your Vezina first, but I think the preamble here for me that's important is, for both of these awards right now, there's probably a very clear-cut number one choice, at least with odds makers, and at least by when you're just looking at the numbers. So I think that that's very clear, and we'll explain that. But maybe my picks are a little bit, if you're not looking at that top guy, who could be the other option? I'm just hitting that caveat. Who's your Vezina right now, even though I think I know who you're picking?
Yeah, I'll play the obvious pick here, and I think he's going to end up winning at the end of the season. It's Linus Ullmark of the Boston Bruins. It's the obvious pick for obvious reasons. His record 22-1-1. That is absolutely incredible. He has the best save percentage right now at a .938 save percentage. He's best in goals against with a 187 goals against average. He's best in shutouts. Wait, never mind. Okay, he's sixth best in shutouts right now, but still.
Nice try, though.
Nice try. I know. I almost got you there, but he's the top. He's pretty much the top in every single category that you can think of for goalies. He hasn't lost in regulation since November 5th against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know that it's really awesome to hear the Toronto Maple Leafs beating the Boston Bruins, but He hasn't lost in regulation in 2.5 months. That is absolutely incredible to hear. It's Linus Ullmark. There's no question about it for me.
Here is how I'm going to poke holes in this, Steele. And right off the bat, I can't even argue with like any of those statistics. That's just impressive stuff.
And I think I know what you're going to say, but I'll let you say
actually, it's not what I'm going to say. I'm not going to Ilya Sorokin if that's where you thought I was going, because no. It should be Connor Hellebuyck, in my opinion, because when I look at these numbers, my man Hellebuyck has faced 201 more shots and is only off on save percentage by a 0.10% or 0.10 percentile. That right there means they're the same in save percentage. He's also played 4 more games, Steele, and has only 20 wins. That just means he's not dealing with the smothering defense that Ullmark gets to benefit from. That's where I poke holes. Both of these goalies are right in the mix. It's going to be one of these guys, and maybe you could throw in Shesterkin on a heater, Sorokin maybe on a heater. These two guys will be nominated for the Vezina. They've already had good enough first halves. And honestly, I've said that the Jets are impressing me. We know how historically good the Bruins have been, but hats off to Connor Hellebuyck and the Winnipeg Jets. And I tried to pull up the odds most recently here. I don't have them in front of me for the Vezina. But with Ullmark's hot start, Hellebuyck is going to be getting probably a very good odd. I'll try and pull it up here before the end of the show. Hellebuyck, 29-1. The save percentage at .928, 2.30 goals against, and has the 3 shutouts. My goodness, this is just a special season. And if not for Ullmark's crazy numbers here, it's Hellebuyck's by a landslide. So, hey, I'm with you. Ullmark deserves it. Let's talk about this Hart Trophy, baby.
Yeah, let's get down to it. You alluded to a little bit of a different take here. I'm kind of all for it, though. I'm all for it. If I heard
you like that? Correctly. Did you catch that interlude? Do you want me to just hit you with my take on this, or what?
You hit it off first with the Hart Trophy.
So again, Steele, Connor McDavid, 77 points so far this season, 15 more than the next closest guy, which happens to be his teammate. Look, I don't think you can say Connor McDavid is not the Hart Trophy winner at this point of the season. That's how good he's been. You might say, hey, Flip, this is the MVP trophy, most valuable to the team. If you take McDavid away, what do you got? You still got Draisaitl. So I tried to look at that from a real angle, taking away the top guy on the team. What do they have? Even if you take away Pasternak, there's other pieces. And I look at it, Nikita Kucherov on the top of the points list. You take him away, there's other pieces. If you take away Tage Thompson's 56 points and multiple point games and all this impressive stuff, you turned me on to this player last year, and I wasn't buying into it. I've bought into the hype, Steele. He is the Hart Trophy candidate right now, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a little bit bold. It's a little bit off the mark. This guy has done everything an MVP needs to do this season. Carry his team offensively, game-winning goals, highlight reel goals. Yeah, it's a little bit bold. Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, Pasternak, even Jason Robertson I considered. Tage Thompson, why not sprinkle a little bit on it? Because if he continues to do what he does and you don't want to waste your money on the short odds of McDavid, Tage Thompson, my man, Hart Trophy winner in my opinion, right there in the mix.
Look, I'm all here for Tage Thompson. You know how much I love this player. Right there along with Jason Robertson, the young guns right now for their respective clubs. I like that you're highlighting the Buffalo Sabres too, because they're not out of this playoff race. Nope. Back in a month ago, I thought they were, but they've been on a heater, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They've got a couple games in hands. They got to battle out with the Penguins and Islanders, though, for that last wild card spot.
So many good
Nonetheless,
teams.
They are not out of it. But look, I'm playing the role of Captain Obvious today. I've got Connor McDavid on the Hart Trophy. Before I talk about my reasons for Connor McDavid, just real quick with the Vezina Trophy odds. Linus Ullmark plus 150, Sorokin plus 325, Hellebuyck plus 350, and Shesterkin plus 800. So definitely those top 4 guys can all be in consideration for
Thank you for the update, good sir. Appreciate that.
Very, very. But yeah, let's get back to the conversation here. The Hart Trophy, Connor McDavid is the obvious choice for me. On pace for career high in goals, in assists, in points, in shots, in shooting percentage, time on ice. He's doing it all for the Edmonton Oilers. He has been absolutely fantastic. Look, let's look right here. Look, it's not even close with the odds right now. Connor McDavid minus 300. Pasternak plus 1,400. Pasternak is the second player at plus 1,400. You don't see Thompson all the way down until plus 2,000. He is the 5th highest favorable person for Hart.
It's a bold take, Steele. Don't get me wrong. And that's just how good McDavid has been, though, right? Like, thank you for taking the other side and the obvious side of this coin. And I literally, at the top of my notes, Hart, not named McDavid, Vezina, not named Ullmark. So this is where I tried to go, because if you and I both came on here also, it would not have maybe been as spicy a conversation. And I'm also not too far off the mark. Connor Hellebuck could very much still win a Vezina.
Yeah.
McDavid is most likely going to win this Hart Trophy. This is just insane numbers. 77 points through 42 games. And the fact is, all of those numbers to me, Steele, means he's just getting warmed up. He is really on something special right now, because he knows that opportunity in Edmonton, if you want to even call it an opportunity, runs through 97, and that's it, baby. So he's going to have to continue to do special things.
Well, here's the thing, too. When looking at his stats, let me just pull them up real quick. Connor McDavid, he has played a total of 529 games in his career.
Yes, sir.
He has 501 assists. He almost has a point per game or assist per game in his entire career. It's absolutely outstanding to me. Like, look, he's finally going to break the 50-goal threshold. He's shooting the puck more. He's finally taking control of putting the pucks on net himself. So he's definitely going to get the 50 goals. He could even win the Rocket Richard Trophy. Obviously, there's Pastrnak. There's Pastrnak. There's Thompson, even Ovechkin at this point. But McDavid's probably winning a couple of awards this year, if not added on to the Stanley Cup, if the Oilers can get that far.
It's interesting that you bring up his games played as well, because if not for that nasty injury in his rookie season, it kind of derailed his start to a year that he already had 48 points through 45 games before missing the rest of that season. His numbers are even more special overall in the career. And for some reason, when I watch McDavid play, and I've been lucky enough to watch him play in person a number of times in Toronto, I was there that year that he turned Morgan Riley inside out for the goal of the year and tucked it over the corner. I was right there for that. And I just went, I've never seen a hockey player skate like McDavid does. And when you have the skating ability that player has, he's a step and a half. He's not a half step. He's a step and a half ahead of every other guy in the NHL. And that right there means this season he's the Hart Trophy winner, in my opinion, aside from my boy Tage. For the odds, though, Steele, you can't be going to McDavid. That's not even worth it, because what happens if he gets hurt? What happens if something goes real wrong with the Edmonton Oilers, or Draisaitl goes down, or whatever? It's just not worth it. That's why you're going to look at my boy Tage. Speaking of odds, Steele, take us to break, because I'm ready for these bets, baby.
Hi, this is Walker Mayo, one of the local hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Instead of hearing me right now, we could be talking about your business and helping you reach local, passionate sports fans just like yourself. Unlike any other podcast, Locked On gives your local company the unique ability to reach local podcast listeners. If your business wants to connect with local sports fans that are well-educated with disposable income, then let's put your company right here on this Locked On podcast. Local fans love to support local businesses. Text the word advertising to 33777 or visit lockedonpodcast.com/advertising and let us know who you are. Our team will assist you to achieve advertising success with Locked On. Once again, text the word advertising to 33777 or visit lockedonpodcast.com/advertising. We look forward to hearing from you.
I'm ready for these bets as well. 4 games on the schedule. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. What you come here for, to make some money at the end of the podcast. Big time bets. I'll throw it over to you. You said you were very excited. You're very confident with your picks on Wednesday. Let's hear it. Let's definitely hear it.
I'm switching things up, Steele, with the confidence, because things have been up and down, but mostly down. So I'm just going into tonight going with some teams that have played very well of late. Maybe I'm laying a bit of juice, but I don't even really care. San Jose is in a back-to-back. They played last night. I think this is a really tough spot heading into the LA Kings barn. They have played really well of late, the Kings. Give me the Kings on the puck line tonight, Steele. They have beat the Kings in 2 of the last 3, and 2 of those have been by 3 or more goals. San Jose, that second night of a back-to-back is tough for any good team. They are not a good team, and they do not have good goaltending. This is going to be a very tough spot for this San Jose Sharks team. Give me the Kings. Puck line, minus 1.5. That's my first pick of the night.
I love it as well. I'm definitely going to sprinkle some on the Kings, maybe go with the money line and with a parlay of some of my picks as well. But I do like the puck line. I love the puck line over here. My first pick of the night, Capitals on the money line, -166. I was also thinking about the puck line in this game, but after seeing what the Flyers did to Buffalo, shutting them out a little bit, I'm going to play it a little bit safe with this game. Capitals on the money line, -166 against the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, that's where I'm going for my second pick. And before I explain that quickly, just with the LA Kings too, Steele, overall, what I've seen from them lately has just been pretty impressive stuff. And Phoenix Copley is on an impressive heater. They're 7-2-1 in the last 10. The Kings, like I said, puck line, that was my first pick. Your first pick, Washington on the money line, -166, is my lock of the night. And I'll get to there right now. I'll throw you out my third pick in a second. To me, the return of Tom Wilson, just Tom Wilson to the lineup. Don't even talk about Nick Backstrom and the importance to Alexander Ovechkin in that offense. This guy is their energy glue guy who can do a little bit of everything. This is huge. Once John Carlson comes back, oh, wait, then you got Darcy Kemper posting a shutout. He's a streaky goaltender. You and I have talked about that at length. Look out for these Washington Capitals right now. Philly not playing good hockey. Just got dusted aside the other night by the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was wrong there. Washington money line, my lock of the night. And very quickly before I throw it back to you, since I'm on this spiel here, if you don't mind, Nashville playing very good hockey right now.
4 games in a row, baby.
Multiple times. They're a second half team, and look at what they do to kick off the second half. Thank you very much. But more importantly, UC Saros playing lights out hockey, coming off a shutout. Matt Murray playing pretty good hockey, maybe not as good as UC Saros, but Saros over his last 4 games, 4-0 and the shutout. This feels like an understeal. Toronto is recommitted to that defensive brand of hockey. They've been smothering the last few teams in the Red Wings and the Philadelphia Flyers. This just feels like a low-scoring game. Give me the under 6.5. And very lastly, with that little take there for you with the Leafs, the last 4 of the last 5 between these two have gone under the number.
I like that as well. You see Saros, Matt Murray playing some great hockey for their clubs. My 2 final picks come from the same game, and I'm hammering these hard.
Love it.
I'm taking the Oilers on the puck line +110 against these Anaheim Ducks.
Juicy.
We talked about it. They got pretty much embarrassed against the LA Kings the other day, losing 6-3. I think they're going to bounce back in a big way, especially against probably the worst team in the league right now. I could see this being a 6-2, 7-2 kind of game in the Oilers' favor. And that's where my lock of the night comes in. Oilers Ducks over 6.5 at -125. Look, there needs to be a turning point for the Edmonton Oilers if they want to remain in a playoff spot. Obviously, I've talked about the inconsistency with Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell. Whoever's in net, they're going to have to play some good hockey, but I can really see Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman really taking over offensively. So take the over 6.5 at -125 for my lock of the night.
I love that, Steele. And again, I said parlay our picks the other night. Let's see how they work out. We always record early. I'm feeling another set of parlays here as well for maybe all 6 of these picks together. I like when I take puck lines. It's maybe a little bit more worth the juice throwing them on there with the parlay. Loving that over bet, though. That's going to make my card. I appreciate it. I hope y'all appreciate these picks. Hit the Twitter account for the latest.
Yes, sir. Definitely hit the Twitter account. All of our odds and our bets will be posted an hour before game time, so make sure you're tuning in for that. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, our videos and content available Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, available on YouTube, available on your favorite podcast platforms. So go hit the subscribe. Go hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love and all the support that you guys show us out there. And thank you so much again for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there. And we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.
Hi, this is Walker Mayo, one of the local hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Instead of hearing me right now, we could be talking about your business and helping you reach local, passionate sports fans just like yourself. Unlike any other podcast, Locked On gives your local company the unique ability to reach local podcast listeners. If your business wants to connect with local sports fans that are well-educated with disposable income, then let's put your company right here on this Locked On podcast. Local fans love to support local businesses. Text the word advertising to 33777 or visit lockedonpodcast.com/advertising and let us know who you are. Our team will assist you to achieve advertising success with Locked On. Once again, text the word advertising to 33777 or visit lockedonpodcast.com/advertising. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hey, Prime members, you can listen to this Locked On podcast ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today.